ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20. Tonight's race is sponsored by Southern Spiral Pipe, proud supporters of the ISCA. We want to thank them for their contributions in helping us do what we all love to do. Southern Spiral Pipe.
Thursday night stock car action is back, and this time it is at the biggest, the baddest track on the iRacing surface. Welcome to the iRacing Super Speedway for the Southern Spiral Pipe 240 for round number 7 of the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series in season number 3 of 2021. My name is Ola Rampol, and of course Al Kozlowski will be joining us this time, though not in the commentary booth. I will be down in his car racing on the track, so you'll be hearing my voice for a majority of the night, and we'll be throwing it down to Al for some good old in-race analysis from time to time as the night goes on. It's bound to be an incredibly fun night of action here today. Take a look over at how things shape up in the championship standings real quick. We'll start off with the Super Cup Series as we loom closer and closer to playoff season. So far, 6 drivers locked in on wins. Those drivers, Clayton Hoffman, Brian Johnson, Kenny Powell, Josh Schaffner, Craig Johnson, and Chad Sullivan rounded out 1st through 6th for the playoff positions, with Greg Wyszynski and Chris Johnson rounded out the pack with 767 and 761.5 points between them. It's another 8 points back to Wayne Grossi, who is still trying to race his way in, currently battling it out with Chris Johnson, just 8 points behind. We look up to the main Cup Series standings. Clayton Hoffman still leads coming into tonight with 266.5 points. About 33 points back is going to be Noah Bitts with 233.5. Matthew McKeegan, 203 points. Another 33.5 points back into 3rd position, with Kenny Powell 4th at 198, with Jacob Grant at 182.5 to round out the top 5. So, it has been an incredibly exciting season to kick things off so far. And we go from one beast to another. Of course, North Wilkesboro was a complete animal of a race. There was a lot of beating. There was a lot of banging. There were some cautions. There was calamity. There were good battles. Overall, a terrific race. This time, though, it all gets ramped up at this beautiful 3-mile paperclip, which I think is safe to say dethrones Martinsville Speedway as the fastest paperclip in the world, at least when it comes to the iRacing service. Of course, this facility, which is supposedly located in Concord, Massachusetts, is not a real facility. Scanned is specifically by iRacing, actually a clone of the Coca-Cola Super Speedway, back from the old NASCAR Racing 2003 season game that was released back in 2002 when Papyrus was still headed up. This track was made by the same fellows that made that original track, which really does give it a special place in a lot of drivers' hearts. Al, we're just about to get right over to qualifying here. I'll let you qualify down in just a second, but before I let you get out there on track, it's bound to be a fun night. We were talking about the speeds, 250 miles an hour. It's going to be insane what we can expect from these guys tonight.
No, and absolutely. This track, everybody's ran in the 43s, which is roughly about 251 miles an hour. Down the back stretch and the front stretch, that means there's going to be some excessive speed. And when there's excessive speed, if there is a wreck, it's going to be a massive one. So I can't wait till we go green here. That's going to be exciting, and you're going to see stuff at this super speedway that you probably see nowhere else, Nolan.
Kenny Powell appears to be the first driver headed out on track in his G&G Toyota Camry number 24. Noah Bitts is just in behind in his 87 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Got to be careful with that yellow line marking the pit exit lane. It's very easy to get a good old unsafe pit release. That in part comes from the very violent transitions. You go from about a 0 degrees completely flat banking to, I can't even begin to measure this, but I had to put a number on that bank, and I put that at least 30 degrees. Al, correct me if I'm wrong if you happen to know the banking numbers. I'll try to do some research on that, get that to you in a minute here. But currently on track, lots of drivers going out to qualify. Kenny Powell starting his flying lap in just a few moments. So we'll take a quick step back. We'll listen to the sound of the cars. I'll do some research here on the banking. I'll be with you in about another 5 seconds here. Well, I have done my research and I have the news. 36 degrees in the turns of the banking in both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 with 10 degrees down the straight. It's a very high bank racetrack. Self-cleaning track, I think, is very safe to say the trend could be here tonight in the event that we get one of those massive pileups. Kenny Powell coming to the end of his first qualifying lap will be the first driver to set a time with a 44.834. That is a second slower than his fastest practice time. So definitely not what he would want to see. He has also, by the way, blown his motor immediately past the checkered flag, so he cannot get that second lap in. Same story, I believe, for a couple of drivers out there in the field. I see Chuck Swinton is now on pole with a 44.781. He said he is going to be gunning for that second lap, and he has also just blown his motor. So Kenny Powell, second place, Swinton on pole. The trend seems to be, if you make the first lap, you're going to blow your motor on the second one. That's so happening with about 6 drivers so far. A lot of people have set times. We're talking about drivers from about first time place on back to about 13th, 14th position out there on the circuit. Total of 13 cars. Make that 15 now setting times. A total of 5 seconds separating Sweeting's time. Well, now 7 seconds back from Justin Levine's time, who was 7 seconds slower than your current provisional pole sitter, Brian Johnson, who puts his car on pole position at the end of his second lap, blowing his motor immediately past the checkered flag. Now, part of the reason why these drivers are blowing the motors, no restrictor plates being run on these machines. They can run absolutely up to the limit. They're already bounced off the rev limiters as they run down towards turns 1 and 3. But that, of course, means that they put a lot of tape on these cars to get them as fast as they possibly can. I mean, we're talking even in these qualifying laps alone, 237 miles an hour. That's much faster than you even get with the draft at Talladega or Daytona. They're running those when they're just single cars. And so you get a lot of tape on, and you get these incredibly high speeds. You're going to get some overheated motors very, very quickly. Al Kozlowski, top of the timing boards with a 44.655. That puts himself 200th of a second up from Burke Sturgis on the front row. You're not out of the woods yet, though, Al. There's still a couple cars out there. 21 drivers have set times. You reckon you can stay there?
Well, I don't know if it's going to stick, but for some reason, this thing did not blow up till after I got to the start-finish line on my second lap. So I'm thankful it held up to the engine guys there. Big shout-out to them. That was pretty amazing. So I'm not going to count my chickens before they're hatched, but that's a pretty good time.
Dan Moon puts himself up into the 5th position on the track with a 44.760 at the end of his second lap. So now we see some of the drivers that do not have as much tape on their cars starting to make their rounds around the facility. Watching Clayton Hoffman, current points leader, coming off of turn number 4 to blaze across the start-finish line. Did not set a first lap, trying to get a good time on the second lap across the line. Will it be enough for pole position? 44.834. It is not nearly close enough. 11th place, make it 12th as Josh Schaffner goes 7th fastest. A rare occurrence to see your points leader so far down the order. That's in the bottom half of cars that are set times. Should note, though, it is also exactly down to the 1,000th of a second, the same time that Kenny Powell set as well in his one and only lap of qualifying it. And that is going to do it for qualifying here at the iRacing Super Speedway. We'll take a quick step back. We'll sing the national anthem, and we'll be back with you guys in just a few minutes.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engine!
Well, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Those were the most famous words in motorsports. The engines are fired up, and we are ready to go racing in just a few moments. Let's take a rundown through your ButtKicker starting grid. Al Kozlowski, of all people, started on pole position. Definitely a sight that I never thought we'd see, but definitely not complaining about it. Second place holds Brooks Durden with Justin Levine down in third place, with Brian Johnson beside him on row number 2. Dan Shamoon and Greg Wyszynski in 5th and 6th, with Josh Schaffner in 7th, Chuck Sweeting in 8th, Brandon Drumhiller and Heath Snyder rounding out the top 10 on row number 5. Row 6, Kenny Powell and Clayton Hoffman in 11th and 12th. Row 7 with Gil Gach and John Mullins. Row 8, Craig Johnson and Kyle Labrie. Row 9, Zenla Collins and Chris Johnson rounding out the top 20 is going to be Matthew McKeegan and Michael Grant. Robert Packill sits in 21st place with Noah Bitts 22nd. Eduardo Oliveira in 23rd, the last driver to set a time that is not almost 4 seconds off of the next closest time. So Oliveira has got some work ahead of him. Chad Sullivan is in 24th place with Will Barlow in 25th. Roy Hyde 26th. Braxton DeWeese in 27th with Wayne Grossi 28th. Travis Smith 29th. Paul Olsen in 30th. Justin Belmonte 31st. Cecil Keith in 32nd. Keenan Massey 33rd. Seth Honda 34th. Connor Mulligan rounds out the 35-car field here for tonight's 240-mile race. Taking a look at the race facts for today. It is going to be an 80-lap race at the end of the night. Of course, stages always in effect. Stage 1 ends at the end of lap 20. Stage 2 at the end of lap 40, right at halfway point. You'll win a roughly 24 laps, give or take, around that number there. Weather is currently pretty cool out there. 68 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, only 71 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. Of course, it is only 8 o'clock in the morning in Sims. That is no doubt going to pick up as the night goes, or as the morning goes on, really. Winds blowing off to the east at about 5 miles per hour. Partly cloudy conditions, should be a good one here tonight. Once again, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Southern Spiral Pipe for sponsoring tonight's race, proud sponsors of the ISCA, as well as ButtKicker. Don't forget to check out the ButtKicker.com and use the promo code ISCA20 for all ButtKicker products. Now, let's throw it down to you here one more time before we go green here. It's a long race ahead of you, 240 miles. Could be over in a hurry, though. What do you think the plan is going to be to stay up in front?
You've got to stand up in front is key. It's very important. This is a track where if you're not up front here, because the outside line, unless they gather up together and nose to tail, the outside line is impossible to pass on. So I've got to hog the inside line. What I'll do is I'll stay close to this yellow line on all my turns and down the fronts and backstretch. And that's going to prevent them from getting around me. Now, if they get a good train on the outside, I could stand a chance to lose this lead. But if you make the pole in this race, theoretically, you stand a chance to lead the most laps if you can just stay up here. The idea is to not make a mistake on these turns. If you catch any of the apron down here, your car can get extremely loose. And you've got to trust your pusher behind you as well. So we're going to go green now. Let's see how this thing unfolds.
Pace car pulls off. We'll take a step away here just real quick. We'll let you guys experience the sound of the cars as they climb to 250 plus miles an hour. The green flag drops. We are underway from the iRacing Super Speedway to the Southern Spiral Pipe 240.
See, I'll run this right at this apron down here. I think we had some drivers back there that missed the start or something, but it looks like they've all gotten in line, so that's what I want to see. As long as they stay in line, we'll reach speeds when we get these things wound up, Nolan, 250 miles an hour down this backstretch. So they're already starting to form a line on the high line. What I'll do as a leader is I'll kind of go up there to the high line and try to block that mess, but it looks like they're going to get it. I've got to get the inside line to go with me, and it looks like Brian Johnson might grab a hold of me, and if he can get a hold of me, I can prevent this lead change here.
Levine holds the top side. He leads lap number 1. We will not get to hear the cars climb to 250 plus miles an hour. So Levine holds the top side. Al leading the bottom. Problem is that outside lane not really formed up yet. The inside line has a lot more momentum behind it. Dan Shamoon is running up to try to help out that 23 car on the outside group. Levine comes down, clears for first. Kozlowski moves up the track. That pushes Brooks Dirty wide and almost into the outside wall for turn number 3. Dirty holds on to it, though. It comes with one of those issues about if you just barely touch that apron, even look at it the wrong way, you're in for one bad time. Michael Grant did miss the start, by the way. He's a long way back. It's a 4-car train way in the back of the field with Mulliken, Hollander, Olsen, Keith way at the tail end of this field. At the moment, it's looking as though we got 2 different trains. You got first place up to about 17th, and then from there, there's 21st on back.
Oh, we're going to go
20th
3 wide. 3 wide. They're going to leave me in the middle here.
So 3 wide down the middle. Kozlowski clears, goes back to the bottom. Heath Snyder holds the top with Shamoon up in front. Durden and Levine right up in front. Looks like Levine will lead second lap as well, so he'll lead the 3rd lap in this 80-lap event. It's a long race tonight, 240 miles, but it can absolutely fly by in a hurry, and you can tell already for folks watching down at home, you just do not have a whole lot of space to move and maneuver around it. It looks like you have a lot, but when you actually get down the track, it can get real tight in a hurry. It is definitely not the civilized single and double file race that we typically see at a track like Talladega or Daytona. A lot more calamity taking place. The outside line does stall out. I believe that is Clayton Hoffman that just stalled up there in the middle, had no help up in front. Meanwhile, Kozlowski tried to side draft and gets a bit sideways there with Kyle Labrie. That's going to cause him to lose a couple of spots and drop further down the running order.
Yeah, you've got to watch that side draft. If you don't trust that guy below you, you're in a lot of trouble here. And you can lose this pack, so I'm going to get back in line here so we don't lose this draft here.
Caution flag waves for the first time today. Did not take long at all. Single car spin for the looks of things. Will Barlow up on the outside wall of turn number 1. Appears he had a collision with Eduardo Oliveira to start this one off. And in fact, that is the case. What happened was Oliveira just, Will Barlow gave a bit of a bad bump to Oliveira. Oliveira shot sideways, overcorrected, went back down, and just cleaned out Will Barlow. Will Barlow by the nearly blew over. Back wheels lifted off the track. Somehow, and I want to get on board with this if we can, but somehow the 97 of Travis Smith did not absolutely clobber Barlow. That was not skill that Smith had to avoid. It was pure luck that Barlow flew up as fast as he did. You probably just saw that over there on your replays down at home. So an insane start so far to this 80-lap event, and no doubt still more to come.
Oh, absolutely, Nolan. That's a shocker that we've already had a caution there. But that, like I've seen earlier, if you get this apron down here and it turns, you can get this car extremely loose. You want to get close to the yellow line on these turns, but if you bring that left side tire on that apron, that little embankment there, it'll get your car all kinds of squirrely. And you have to have a teammate here. If you don't have any friends or teammates, you're pretty much in trouble here. If nobody's going to go with you, you can be held back. I mean, I went from the pole to 8th in no time flat because we had people that were using each other for the draft.
So caution flag waves for the first time on just the 5th lap of an 80-lap event. Single car spin up into the outside wall of turn number 1 on lap number 5. We'll take a quick step away here. We'll be back in just a few minutes with more from the iRacing Super Speedway.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20. Tonight's race is sponsored by Southern Spiral, proud supporters of the ISCA. We want to thank them for their contributions in helping us do what we all love to do. Southern Spiral Pipe.
Still under the yellow flag. Of course, caution laps are incredibly long for the ISCA Superspeedway. 1.5 minutes, as a matter of fact. That is what we're working with at the moment. I was just on the last caution flag lap. We'll take a quick run through how things have shaken up so far throughout the top 10. Justin Levine is up into the first position. Somehow Brooks Durden has actually held his positioning. He's still in second place. Dan Moon is down in third with Heath Snyder up to fourth. Kyle Labrie is up. Actually, wow, 11 spots already for Kyle Labrie up into 5th place. Clayton Hoffman in 6th. Gilgock in 7th. Kozlowski has been on the backwards train down in 8th. Kenny Powell and Brian Johnson round out the top 10. Taking a look for a quick moment over at some of the biggest movers and shakers throughout the course of the day. The biggest mover so far, Justin Belmonte, up 12 positions. Up 13 positions, excuse me. 18th place is where he started, and that's currently where I believe Belmonte is sitting at the moment. In fact, it is. So, good run there for Justin Belmonte, plus 13 already on the day. Driver to drop the most spots, Josh Schaffner, got the lucky dog this last lap by. Might have had a problem off the start. Didn't quite see the 50-car grid up either. So I think that might be the case that Schaffner is having to struggle with. I know you also had guys to the likes of John Mullins, Will Barlow that are also further back. Mullins is down 12 positions already. Will Barlow, the driver that brought out the latest caution, down 10 to the 35th position out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, Nolan, we're pacing right now at 93 miles an hour. So this doesn't look like we're going fast, but this is about three times we'll be going in the race here at the speed. So we're going to go green this time by, and as long as I can stay with a partner, a drafting partner, we might be able to work our way back to the front here.
For those of that might be like me and are Canadian and don't understand just how quick 94 miles an hour is, that's also doubles as 150 kilometers per hour, which is absolutely insane because I have never driven that fast in my entire life, let alone, in pacing conditions. I mean, that's almost double the freeway speeds over where I live. So that is insanely quick, even for a pace lap. And even then, we're still getting these 2-minute pace laps. And it goes to show, just how long this track really is. It is a 3-mile oval. It is the longest oval we have out there at the moment on the iRacing service. So, coming through 3 and 4, I have to wait and see what our second green flag run on the night will give us. Ben, the pace car driver.
To put it in perspective, Nolan, we'll run 3 miles in 43 seconds.
Pace car pulls down. Justin Levine holds pole position for now on the first restart on the night. This time, no complications further at the tail end of the field. We are green flag racing. An early jump, though, from Brooks Durden clears Levine by the time they get past start finish. Now, of course, these two drivers, I believe, are frontline teammates at the moment. So this will be interesting to see if Brooks Durden is going to face any kind of consequence from this, from iRacing for passing before the green flag. For now, though, he is under fire. Hoffman way up to the wall. He opens up the top lane. Clayton Hoffman goes to the point. Kozlowski just in behind, trying to gun with him. The inside line stalls immediately with 4 frontline cars running nose to tail on the inside line. But so far, it is all the story up in front. Hoffman leads, but not for long. Kozlowski trying to gun back to the point. Makes the look to the inside. Abandons the 92 car up high. It will be Al Kozlowski to potentially lead lap number 9. Maybe not. Brooks Durden trying to get the run and does pick him at the line. Margin of gap there between the two at the line. Just 0.003 of a second between Brooks Durden and Al Kozlowski. Goes to show just how quick this could be. 3 wide, almost 4 wide in behind. Nobody's wanted to give an inch to anybody else out there on the racetrack. Currently, they're 3 wide just outside the top 10. Braxton DeWeese is going to 3 wide with Chris Johnson and Chuck Sweeney. That's just sorted itself out. DeWeese falling back as no drafting. He'll be stuck in the middle with cars flying by to both the left and the right of him. The outside line is all sorts of broken up, but that bottom lane is starting to form up significantly here. I'm looking at Brooks Durden at the moment, currently up there in the front with Levine, Shamoon, and Heath Snyder in behind. Kyle Labrie from front line is also formed just behind. So it is a front line 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 out there on the racetrack. Goes to show just how powerful this draft can be when you have cars that are willing to work with you. You need at least 3 cars to open up a lane. When you get 5 cars that are willing to work together in one massive line, like we're seeing up in front, you can already see they're already starting to pull away, and Gil Gog isn't even side by side with anybody. The draft it's oh so powerful on a track like this. Halfway, by the way, through the first stage. Lap number 11 is what we're running now. Lap 20 is the stage 1 caution. Pit road closes as the leaders cross over onto lap number 18. Still double file further at the tail end of the field. Kozlowski still heads up the outside line, but it just isn't going anywhere. The bottom is where you want to be at the moment. The 49ers end like Collins pushes up a little bit. Kozlowski returns the favor, muscles Collins back in a line. Collins now getting the shove from Justin Belmonte just behind. Wayne Grossi is looking to form in this train as well. So up front, side by side for the lead. Brooks Durden no longer wants to lead this thing. Lets his teammate Justin Levine out in front. Might have begun a bit too hot, might wanted to conserve some fuel. One car slow up on the top side. That's Travis Smith, a car that is a lap down, letting the field through on the outside groove. Good move there from Smith to let this field through and not cause any issues in the best way possible, sticking it right up by the wall. And now we started to settle in as to what we can expect to see from the majority of this race. Single file racing, just because of how hard it is to really open up a line. Because you got to remember, even if you get 3 cars going to the outside, you can't exactly get a run. You still have to. Oh, look out! Contact up in front! One car slides down below the apron. Sandler Collins somehow saves after going for the ride of probably his iRacing life right there. Got clipped by Mac and McKeegan. Somehow wrestled that thing back. Shout out to Chuck Sweeney as well for someone not being sent around. Wayne Grossi had to check up big time to avoid the field. And somehow we stay green from all of the madness in that running there. And that, I believe, was right behind Al Kozlowski in the middle of all of that. No doubt, Al, it got a bit scary for you down there.
Oh, absolutely. I seen it, and I drove up towards the wall. Like, I'm out no part of that.
You just saw it in the replay. That is some masterclass 5 stars, A+ driving right there from the 49 car to somehow wrestle that thing back for Zendla Collins. He has lost the draft. He has fallen back to 27th place at the moment. Is being passed up for 28th, 29th, and 30th. But hey, it's better to be all the way back there and recover for stage 2 than have a completely wrecked race car. Up in front, the only side-by-side action is still Kozlowski. He's got Kenny Powell, his G&G teammate, behind him, but it's just not going to happen. Powell slots back in line. Kozlowski follows suit. So now, single filed out through the entirety of the running order here today. Travis Smith is slow on the racetrack, interestingly enough. Only 200 miles an hour on the 97 machine. That is actually very concerning, considering the rest of the field is going, we're talking 50 miles an hour faster than that. They're going to be flying up on him like there's no tomorrow. It's incredible when you consider that those are the speeds you run on by yourself at Daytona Talladega. They're only like 10 miles an hour faster. Not the case here. You run unrestricted cars here, which means you can wrangle all of the horsepower these machines have to offer underneath them to push up to what we have seen as high as 253 miles an hour tonight. Top line starting to open up, I think. I see Matt McKeegan fell back, and now he's got Michael Grant and Greg Wyszynski also there on the top side, but it just, the outside line, it just is not there right now. It's not going to happen, for these guys further to the tail end of the field. They have to be patient. They have to settle themselves in, wait for the long haul. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing this battle for the race league kicking up a lot more when we get into the final couple laps of the stage. We've still got about 2 laps to go here. Oh, look out! Go Gog, hard to the outside wall. Caution flag flies. That is going to be down to stage 1 right there. Can't get a restart in.
Oh, boy, Nolan, I've seen that one unfold, too. That was a scary one.
And that is it. Stage 1 complete. What a shock way to end it out. Definitely not the way a lot of this field wanted that first stage to go. What happened there? Gil Gog just clipped the apron. Didn't even have any contact. He then got tagged by Chris Johnson and Noah Bitts. Wayne Gross got the worst of it, though. Got slammed to the outside wall by the 85 car, who then spun down. Somehow, look on board Matt McKeegan if we can here, Rob, because somehow, once again, avoidance of the century there for the 41 machine. That was insane stuff that we saw out of the 41 car. It's unfortunate. It's not the way we wanted stage 1 to end. That is, it's the way it is, though, unfortunately, the way it is now. It's a real shame it had to end that way. So Levine wins stage 1, Dirty second, Shaboon third, Snyder fourth, Colibri fifth, Chris Johnson sixth, Noah Bitt seventh, Belmonte eighth, John Mullins ninth, Al Kozlowski rounds out the top 10. With stage 1 complete, we'll take a quick step away for a quick ButtKicker and Southern Spiral Pipe commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with more from the iRacing Super Speedway.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com. Be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20. Tonight's race is sponsored by Southern Spiral, proud supporters of the ISCA. We want to thank them for their contributions and helping us do what we all love to do. Southern Spiral Pipe.
Well as 5 bonus points. Now, despite us going green on lap 20, the lap that the stage 1 should be ending on, it was already made official. Stage 1 was complete. Now, the reason why this was is because this came out within 5 laps of when the stage should have concluded here, Al. So that does mean you will not be stopping at 1 lap. You will be going out to that halfway mark. So what do you think the plan is going to be for yourself coming into the next 20 laps?
Get on the bottom line and stay there. No more of this high line trying to pass. I get left out. You know, as you've seen, I have no teammates to kind of work with me here. I have a G&G racing team in here, but they're all spread out throughout this field. So hopefully we get them all back together here and we get this thing handled, because I think we have good cars and I think we have a good chance to win this thing. We just have to get together here.
Pace car pulls off in the hands of Brooke Dirty's number 27, another one of those frontline drivers. Love to see if we can see another frontline stage winner at the end of the night. The team's been very strong. Green flag flies once more here from the iRacing Super Speedway for the Southern Spiral Pipe 240 for round number 7 of the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series season number 3 of 2021. 3 wide already. Keenan Massey and Kenny Powell side by side with cars past them up on the bottom side. Hoffman and Justin Belmonte both getting out there. Al Kozlowski is still being left out to dry. Up in front, John Mull is trying to go for the lead in this Canterbury Chevrolet. No guys over the 64 machine, so Brooks Sturdy's a bridge. Oh, look out! One car slides below the apron. That's Justin Belmonte and the number 8 car getting punted out of line by Clayton Hoffman. Moral of the story, don't push the pusher. Justin Belmonte got checked up by Heath Snyder and in turn got rear-ended by Clayton Hoffman just in behind. Very close call for a lot of the field. Still double file, 3 wide further in the tail end of the field. A very good restart, all things considered, and so far a little bit cleaner than we saw on the opening run as well. No, apart from that crazy incident on the back straightaway 1 lap ago, no real crazy movers and shakers taking place just yet. Kozlowski looks to the outside around Heath Snyder, but nothing doing. The outside line still not quite there. You need a really good group of cars for you to work with on that outside groove. So up in front, once again, it is going to be John Mullins on the inside, Dirty up top. Chris Johnson on the bottom side, just behind with Heath Snyder trying to help the outside lane grow. It is double file at the moment for the entirety of the running order, just about. We're talking all the way back to the 25th position, are all side by side at the moment up in front, looking for 3 wide as well. Here comes Kenny Powell charging up the middle. Kozlowski gives the space to work with on the outside groove. That is in turn going to stall out. Powell's on the bottom side. 4 wide in the back and spinning around as well. 1 car slide. Matthew McKeegan spins into the grass. Still saving it. Keeps it off the inside wall. The Mobile 1 Ford Mustang will now be the taker. Biggest save of the race. You saw him shooting off on the right side of your screen, and I thought he was done for. Get a replay of that one if we can, because that was absolutely incredible. Got bipped by Justin Levine, not once, but twice. And that's him kicking for a ride of his life down to the inside line. And Robert Pagel as well got an excellent view of all of that up in front. Still looking 3 and 4 wide. Clayton Hoffman has got major damage on his front end of his machine now to number 22. So it's not a good run for himself. It's a rough game what these guys are trying to play here at the moment. And Clayton Hoffman is having yet more issues out there. Very slow on the track, 160 miles an hour. It's dangerous how slow Hoffman's going. I think he's having some severe issues with this car. There's a lot of damage on it. I cannot find out for the life of it where it came from. I believe lap 21. What in the world has happened here to Clayton Hoffman? The front clip just falls off the car. There's no other way to say that. It just does. That something with the air of his own is what sends him all the way down to the tail end of the field. So just for that, we now see a lot of drivers in their own little groupings here. The big grouping to talk about at the moment is that front one. Kozlowski once again trying to open up the top lane. Kyle Labrie on the bottom side. Kenny Powell is right behind him, giving his G&G teammate a big push down the back straightaway. They've also got the Southern Spiral Pipe number 4 car of Brian Johnson trying to join the party on the outside groove. First, second are actually, yes, first, second are, in fact, frontline drivers, with John Mullins breaking up the party with Chris Johnson down in 4th place. D'Angelo Moon sits in 5th at the moment. Kozlowski trying to side draft with Kyle Labrie's number 9 car all the way down the very long front straight and putting yet another frontline driver a couple of more positions back. Always what you want to see when you're running the big field like this. Let's take a look back at that second group of their cars at the moment. About 10th place on back from Wachinski, Noah Bitts, and so forth. They're starting to slowly but surely reel in this front grouping. They are in a bigger pack. They can go faster. Not to mention as well, they're also a little bit more coordinated. Some of the guys up in front are. There's one driver falling down to the tail end of this field. That is going to be Keenan Massey. And his number 47 Chevrolet dropping back towards the tail end of this secondary train, which runs all the way back to about the 24th position at the tail end. That is going to be the case here. So now it's a case of sit and wait for this main pack to really form up again. The top grouping is in fact very split apart. There's no telling as to when it can close on in. One mistake from the guys up in front, and the guys behind them are going to be all over them again in a heartbeat. A quarter of the way already through stage number 1. Al, let's check in with you a little bit here. It's been a bit chaotic out there on this restart, but overall, a much better start than the initial start, seeing as we made it more than 5 laps. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just trying to close in on Dan Shamoon here, so I think I have his draft right now, so we should suck up to this pack that got away from us up here. There's 5 cars, and we have enough momentum that if we really wanted to, I could probably drift up and go around them on the outside, but I have to worry, am I going to have a drivers behind me? I've only got a 3-car breakaway behind me here. I've got a teammate, Kenny Powell, and teammate Brian Johnson behind me, but I don't think that's enough unless Chris Johnson, who is also a teammate of ours, pulls out, and then we can push him to the lead here. But I'm closing in on him extremely fast now. I think Dan Shamoon knows it.
You saw on the screens during all that was going on, Robert Pangill was put 3 wide and then put into the wall. The number 12 car got a bit desperate. Just Belmonte trying to fend off drivers behind, moved up a little bit. In fact, looking at it again, Pangill kind of turns in on Belmonte, but does a good job to save it, tags the outside wall, but it's not too bad. The 17 car will be able to continue. The second group in here is starting to heat up in a hurry, as well as that front group. You got yourself Chris Johnson, Kozlowski, and Powell all trying to open up that outside lane. Chris Johnson and now Kozlowski. Oh, Kozlowski gets loose, though, and has to bail out from that second group. He got a bit too unsettled from the draft of the cars in behind. Tucks right back up, though, with Kenny Powell, and is now able to try to run down these front runners. Now, they're only 3 cars apiece, so you can definitely go in there and have a run. Unfortunately, for this second group of Wojcinski further on back, because of all the shuffling around they just did a lap ago, they don't have any hope of catching that tail end anymore unless there is a caution that comes out to really help them out. It's not something you want to see, so we'll keep our eyes here on this front battle. Shamoon pulling the outside, trying to take 3rd place away from John Mullen. It does not work out. In fact, fails horribly, starts to drop all the way back to the tail end of the field. Heath Snyder running the middle groove this time round, with Brooks Dirty still up in front. An interesting call there. John Mullins is still on the bottom side with a huge head of steam, courtesy there of Chris Johnson. They'll go for second. And now, John Mullins goes for first. John Mullins to the point for the first time tonight, and one of the first non-frontline racing lead changes that we've seen so far on the night as well. It's a huge head of steam up in front. The 48 car pushes the 64, being pushed in turn by the 24. Kozlowski and moves his way up to 4th place with Brian Johnson trying to pick up 5th for the frontline driver. Brooks Dirty up on the top side. Heath Schneider is going to hold on to 7th place. Here comes Dan Shamoon as well, trying to go for 8th. I wonder here if at the moment Schneider and Dirty, they're trying to save a little bit of fuel here. Maybe their car's running a bit too hot, so they had to drop further to the back of the train. It's not unheard of, so that'll be one side to watch out for going into the final stages of this race. Coming up on halfway, by the way, in stage number 2, and in fact, the race itself. In the second train, Noah Bitts has had a falling out with the main field. He is dropping back several spots, lost almost 10 spots already, and just turns 3 and 4 alone, trying to tuck in line with almost no success. By now, he's lost 15 miles an hour of speed. He's almost certainly going to lose the draft as a result of that. At the head of the train, though, they're still not showing each other any love up there. Kyle Labrie and Greg Wojcinski are battling real hard out there, with just Levine and Connor Mulligan just in behind, trying to duke it out as well. Tell you what, this is one heck of a race that we're seeing here, though. Definitely a lot more exciting than the last time we came here a couple seasons ago, when we only had a 6-car turn-up. That was, of course, we were really struggling to get those car numbers. Not the case today. A total of 35 cars have started this race, and unfortunately, we are down quite a few numbers. We're down to just 32. Still, though, 32 cars with 29 of those cars on the lead lap. That is certainly nothing to shrug about. John Mullen still holds the race lead up in front. Chris Johnson 3rd. Kenny Powell in third, with Chris Johnson 2nd. Kozlowski once again left out to dry. Thought about going down with Brian Johnson, but Johnson poked his way through. Dan Shamoon was not about to do him any favors on the outside group, trying to regain lost time with his frontline teammates of Brooks Dirty and Heath Schneider just in behind. So you still got these 2 very distinct trains that are going to be working with each other here, and the frontline boys have certainly formed up on the outside group. I think they're about ready for that big push. Any second now up front, Chris Johnson goes to the point this time by. John Mullins goes down low, and he is going to be abandoned by the entire group and right behind. Look out for Wayne Grossi, though. Nearly make a contact. The couple of drivers up at this front running. Now, Wayne Grossi at the moment is dangerously slow. I've said that multiple times, but it's more so true than ever. 187 miles an hour for Wayne Grossi. That's 70 miles an hour that this field is closing in on. So imagine you're coming down a pit road at Daytona International Speedway, 65 miles an hour. You're coming up on a driver that has stopped in pit road, you're going to pit road speed limits, and then add another 10 miles an hour onto that. That is the speed difference between Wayne Grossi and the rest of the field. It is scary how fast this field is catching him, and I am shocked that it has not caused any issues, and especially with the last time this field passed him up. Hopefully it does not cause any issues from here to the end of the run. A couple drivers are still trying to jockey it out for position in this top run, and then I honestly wonder why they're trying so hard. It's not going to get them anywhere. It just pushes them further back. And you can see the top three gap is growing exponentially with Chris Johnson, Powell, and Brian Johnson, leading the way up in front. Kozlowski holds fourth place just in behind with John Mullins fifth, Shamoon sixth, Schneider seventh, Brooks 30 down in eighth. Every time they go side by side, they don't go anywhere. They don't swap positions. I wonder why they keep doing it. You have any opinions on that one, Al?
No, what you just seen me do there is when I get back far enough from the lead, the top three here, I can actually drag everybody behind me back. It's kind of a crap thing to do, but that kind of took the momentum away from Dan Shamoon and Heath Snyder. I hated to do that to them, but I mean, when they're teammates, they'll do the same thing to us. So I just had to run this as a team here, and I'm able to get back to them. Every time they try to go around like that, I'll drop back from Brian Johnson, and I'll stick my nose out there, and that kind of breaks their draft. So it breaks their momentum. It's kind of a crap thing to do, but it is what it is.
That's plate racing for you. Well, not even plate racing. That's just super speed racing. You don't run places. Oh, crack him behind. One truck is spun around. Craig Johnson outside wall hard. Chad Sullivan is collecting as well. It's the big one in turn number 3. Caution flag flies for the third time tonight, and that all came because Craig Johnson tried to clear himself from Michael Grant. The gap was closing. Whether Grant could have gone for it is arguable, but that is a hard crash to see.
No, and does that end the stage too?
I'll confirm that in just a few moments. I don't think it does. We'll have to see, though.
2020, right? So we're at lap 36. Yep. So this.
And news coming in, this is not the conclusion of the stage. They will have a restart at the end of this one. Oh boy, it's about to get exciting down there on the racetrack. No doubt, nobody's going to take it easy anymore. You just saw the replay there. It's a hard one to call. I mean, the 83 chopped the 904, yes. On the other hand, the 83 kind of got a bit loose, and the 904 tried to go down the inside. It's a very difficult thing to call, isn't it? I don't know how to call that one. That'll be one, though, for reviewers afterwards.
We got to let the pace car by. We've got to kind of get in a hurry here. The pace car is way behind us here. It's got to catch up, and it'll probably scare
a couple drivers. Well, a couple drivers that got caught out by that. Actually, Heath Snyder got caught out by it. Shamu was caught out by it. So was Brooks Dirting and Kyle Labrie. All four of those guys, all of them frontline teammates, caught out by that on a bad pit call. They're going to be penalized for that, for pitting when pit road was closed. This is huge.
Yeah, it tells them right on their gauges that pit road is not open. It is closed. So I think what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to get some fuel, maybe put some weight in their car to get that outside line to give them a little bit more grip. But I think it backfired on them.
Backfired indeed in about the biggest way possible. Unbelievable. So the caution came out. Just to clarify on the rule book here, the way this works, if the caution comes out within 5 laps, stage is concluded. Now, this caution came out just before they hit 5 to go. And when I say just, I really mean just. They were about 300 feet away from taking that 5 to go mark. Meaning we will have a restart. Now, it will be a 2-lap dash. So this means we could see a 1-lap extension to the stage to finish here if it would cross over the original threshold. So this could get interesting, but it will for sure, almost certainly be a 2-lap dash unless they go 1 to green this next time by, which frankly is not going to happen.
No, we've got 2 to green. This next time by, when we come across the start-finish line, will be 1 to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a quick caution then. So it turns out you will have the 2-lap dash, but we won't go over the threshold. I didn't expect that, but I'm not complaining about it either. It's last time under caution.
Absolutely. Looks like a lot of cars might have got caught in that, Nolan. Was that a huge wreck?
4 or 5 cars got caught up in it. That's, I don't know. It's a tough call, Al. I mean, we're getting reports that there are drivers that also got black flags for pitting when pit road was closed, but that was the only out that could have come down to pit. Now, the penalty would be for passing under yellow flags because technically they passed the pace car. Now, one could argue the pace car wasn't out there, but you could also argue, why didn't you wait for it? You know the pace car has to be in front of you. They claim they didn't know the pace car was in front of them, but how would they not know that? You have the data that tells you exactly what to do.
Well, yeah, but in their defense, I'm going to say this. On my dash, I see 7 drivers. Okay, that's 7 drivers, the top 7. I don't see the pace car on here, okay? If I was in, you know, I can see the pace car obviously from starting in 4th, but those guys sitting further back in the field, they're only seeing 7 cars in front of them. So they're definitely not seeing the pace cars in front of them.
But
I don't know.
the dash would still say, let the pace car through, yes?
I would think it would. I mean, you have a black box that says, you know, let the pace car by. So that penalty, then it's going to stick. I mean, because you need to know when to pit, when not to pit. Mine says that pit roads are closed, you know, pit lane's closed, and tells me when it's open. Everybody has that stationary. It comes standard with iRacing. So unless they have some kind of a modification that doesn't tell them that, then they should have that ability.
It's a rough call, but unfortunately a fair one. They came in when they shouldn't have. There's nothing you do about that. Good news is, fuel won't be a strategy call at all. You will, of course, be able to come on in just 2 laps time as well. And not going green, something has happened on the track. Clayton Hoffman has spun it. Slow on the back straight, and that is why we're not going green. So we're going to take an extra lap.
Yeah, you're going to notice everybody's got hot tires. I mean, they've got, what, 19 laps on these tires? This restart is crucial. You have to be smooth on your restart. If you're not smooth on your restart, somebody can spin their wheels, and it'll cause a big melee on this restart. So it's just a shoot and miss game here. You got to worry about the driver in front of you, that he's got enough control over his soft tires that he's not going to spin out.
So because of that, there will be a lap added onto the stage as well. We will now be ending the stage on 41, going on 42. The reason for the delay green, this was an iRacing throne. This is not administrative action. Clayton Hoffman was too slow on the back straightaway. It thought it was a hazard on course and delayed the green as a result. We will still have that 2-lap dash, though. The stage will simply be ending on lap 41 instead of the originally scheduled 40. Hopefully, we'll get to go green this next time by here. It looks like everybody is caught up with the tail end of the pace car. Al, an insane 2 laps up ahead. You reckon you can go for that stage win?
Well, Nolan, that means we've got 1 lap, because we're going to take the green flag here at lap 40. So
you get a 1-lap extension, though, on the stage, so you'll have the 2.
So it'll be 42 is when the stage ends.
Well, 41 going on to 42, but yes.
Okay, so when we cross the start-finish line at 42, then the stage is over. I got teammates all in front of me. I'm not in a big hurry to get up there. I mean, if the window opens up, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to get a stage win. But if not, you know, I'm obviously going to stay behind my teammates and help them out here, because we need to stay together. And if we pit, we're going to all be together, hopefully, when we come out of pit road, and stand a better chance of a victory.
Pace car coming to 3 and 4, 2-lap dash to end the second stage for the Southern Spiral Pipe 240. This is going to be a crazy one. Couple of drivers looking to come down pit road already. Green flag waves right now. We are underway here from the RC Speedway. 2-lap dash to end stage 2. A clean launch from just about everybody in the back. A couple of drivers did come down pit road just as the pit road was being closed as well. They will not be penalized for it. They got in just at the nick of time. Justin Levine up on the top side. Roy Hyde trying to follow. Still 2 laps left to go in the stage, making 1.5 now. Going to be a white flag for the stage this next time by with that 1 lap extension. Coming around through 3 and 4. Final lap. Chris Johnson up in front. Brian Johnson second. Kenny Powell third. John Mullins fourth. Kozlowski fifth. It's going to be a drag race, no doubt, for this final stage finish here in stage number 2. White flag is out for that second stage. Still waiting that 1 extra lap further in the back. I see Paul Olsen pulling off to let drivers through. Still nice and orderly. Still single file up in front. I'm not expecting anybody to make any really big moves until we really get to that threshold of right over to the end. Heads up for car coming onto the track. That was Kyle Labrie that had a close call coming on up there. Craig Johnson has pulled it off, and he's taking it down to the garage. Up in front, Chris Johnson trying to go for another stage win. Kozlowski looks around the outside at John Mullins. Don't think it'll be enough. Up in front, does Brian Johnson try to go for the glory? Chris Johnson up for the final corner. Brian Johnson can't get there in time. Chris Johnson wins stage number 2. What an insane end to stage number 2 here, Al. That was nuts what we saw there. Stage 2 is concluded. Chris Johnson up in first, Brian Johnson second, Powell third, John Mullins fourth, Kozlowski fifth, Wachinski sixth, Mulligan seventh, Schaffner eighth, Hyde ninth, with Levine rounding out the top 10. We'll take another real quick commercial break here while the field starts to get themselves filed up behind the pace car. We'll be back with more from the Southern Spiral Pipe 240 from the IRC Super Speedway in just a few moments.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20. Tonight's race is sponsored by Southern Spiral Pipe, proud supporters of the ISCA. We want to thank them for their contributions in helping us do what we all love to do. Southern Spiral Pipe.
Stage 2 is complete, and welcome back to the IRC Super Speedway. We'll see if we can get a hold with your Stage 2 winner here, Chris Johnson. This is Noel Rempel up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy? You're in the wrong channel, my friend. You just spoke in the iRacing. What you meant to talk up in here?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to pit, but I got a copy. I got Brian hitting me right now.
Oh, no worries. You know, I'll tell you what. I'll let you go down. I'll let you make a pit stop. I'll check in with you again in a couple minutes.
Roger.
Well, that's a brain fart on my part. Didn't realize they hadn't yet pitted yet. So, Chris Johnson comes on in. You saw Brian Johnson giving a bit of a love tap there. No doubt anxious for a shout at himself for the number 4 car. Kyle Labrie gets the lucky dog. He takes that one around the outside line. So, Chris Johnson coming out of pit road in just a few minutes' time. We'll get in touch with him when he comes out of pit road this time. And we'll check on with him in a second time here. We'll see if we have any further luck. Chris Johnson comes out significantly further behind. Took a 4-tire stop there. It's supposed to be interesting to see how Chris Johnson's strategy played out. Might have to tell or ask him about that a little further on. So, we'll try this again. Chris Johnson, now that you're out of pit road, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. I got a copy. Overshot my pit a little bit, but I got a copy.
Well, I hope that was not my fault. I apologize. I did not realize you had not come into pit yet. Anyways, stage 2 winner. No doubt that feels pretty good right about now.
Oh, yeah. It's always good to win your own sponsor, Southern Spiral. I'm glad I was able to pull off a stage win. The Southern Spiral car, G&G car, Mustang, pretty fast right now. So we'll see what we could do on this last stage.
I do want to talk about the end of that second stage for a little bit. We figured there might be some fireworks in the 2-lap sprint, but I mean, when you came up to the end there, Brian Johnson didn't give much of a fight. He pretty much just let you have it. Was that always the plan?
Well, you know, blood is thicker than water, so, you know, Brian's my brother, so he's going to stick with me no matter what. You know, even if he still tried to pass me, you know, it was no guarantee that Kenny would go with him, so.
We're already one step further in the relationship with your brother than I am with mine. Mine would never do the same. He'd probably just dump me for a chance to get a stage win himself.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Stage 3, of course, that's where we can expect green flag pit stops, assuming we go green flag racing long enough to get to that. I noticed you did take tires on this last stop. Is the plan to also take 4 or just fuel when you come down to the last stop? You're probably not going to answer that, but I mean, any thoughts on the strategy that you might be able to give us?
I'll give you a hint. It's going to be short.
Oh, I see. All right, interesting words there from Chris Johnson. Well, it looks like you are going to be one to green here in just a few moments. You already are, so I'll let you get down there and organize with the rest of your team there. Before I let you go, though, Chris, anybody you'd like to shout out for tonight?
Of course, Southern Spiral, ISCA, you know, Kenny Powell for putting together this organization for us to come out here and have some tough competitive racing. And, of course, our announcers, you, Nolan, and Al, and everybody involved, Rob.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That means a lot.
Appreciate it, Nolan.
You have yourself a nice race, and we'll see you hopefully at the end of this thing. That was your Stage 2 winner, Chris Johnson, from his G&G Racing number 48. He'll be moving back down to his team here in just a few moments. This should be a very fun race, no doubt. Another 40-ish laps to go, 35 when we come to the end. Still waiting on this field to come around through turns 3 and 4 before we get this thing underway. This should be a very fun race coming on up for us here in just a few moments. Pace car gonna make that dive down onto pit road in the hands now of Noah Bits. We are just about now green flag racing out for the Super Speedway. Bad luck from Seth Hollander, goes all the way down the inside line and starts letting drivers through around the top. Up on the outside, Cecil Keith trying to open up that second groove, trying to pull around Noah Bits' 87 machine out on the outside line. Cecil Keith's Dr. Pepper Toyota Camry in the 33 car is still looking strong, but the problem is nobody helping him out on the outside line. He's going to get swallowed up here short. In fact, he already is being swallowed up down in the turn number 3. This field thunders through already. The pack starting to split apart into their own little groupings, just like we saw in both stages 1 and 2. Probably going to be a bit more of a calm second half of the race up until the final run here. Now, you heard Chris Johnson talking about the blood between himself and Brian Johnson, thicker than water, got a good relationship with him, so Brian Johnson kind of let him have stage 2. You wonder if he's going to be so nice, though, when it comes around to the checkered flag of the race. Of course, you look for about 50 points. It's a lot different than just the 5 points you get for winning a stage. Still single file out of turn number 4. Al Kozlowski hugging the inside grouping there. Matthew McKeegan trying to see if he can hold on to third. Unfortunately, Kozlowski doesn't have much help. He does have the number 19 of Justin Levine coming up behind to help him out, but I don't think it's going to work out too well for Levine and Kozlowski. You need at least 3 cars to be able to work yourself up, but sure enough, Levine abandons almost as immediately as he hooked up with them. Tucks in line right behind Chris Johnson, who now really uses that gap to push on up to the back end of Kenny Powell and Brian Johnson. And in fact, he's going to use that push as well. Now Levine goes to the outside line again. Levine's trying to make moves. Unfortunately, it's not working out too well for him here. As soon as he makes these moves, he gets stalled out instantly. Up Up on the outside, Brian Johnson, Matthew McKeegan looking strong. Kenny Powell and Chris Johnson right in behind with Keenan Massey down on the inside. Matthew McKeegan up in third. And trying to hang on, but not for long, because Brian Johnson has secured the third position around the outside groove with Kenny Powell just in behind. Still double file for a good portion of this top grouping here, coming to 31 laps to go this next time through. We're checking a little bit more on the weather conditions. Track has not had much change in temperature, still up to 75 degrees Fahrenheit and still 69 down on the track as well. So it really has not been a very, effective race when it comes to the tire and track temperatures. It really has stayed about the same since this race began. Minimal change, but I mean, look at all the insane double file racing up in front. John Mullins is just taking the lead away from Noah Biss. The outside line is hauling right now, blowing past Wayne Grossi and leaving the inside line in the dust. Powell, Johnson, and John Mullins get clear up in front. What a run for those two drivers. Keselowski not so lucky, just barely gets hung out to dry by his own team, no less, as the field thunders through on the bottom.
Yeah, that's teamwork right there, I guess, if you want to call it.
3 wide right behind these guys. Zemla Collins looking to be side by side with Seth Hollander and Randy Drumhiller down this front straightaway. We've seen 3 wide not really work out the best in this facility. Paul Olsen gets pushed up the track just in behind. Through the inside line goes Connor Mulligan, picking up the spot. These are drivers just hanging around in that third grouping, really in the back. There's a 4-car grouping right in the middle as well. A lot of very hard racing still taking place up there in the front. Tell you what, why don't we take a look from a driver who's got the best seat in the house at the moment. We'll take it right on board with Heath Snyder here in his frontline number 8 machine. And we will see how this goes along. Amazing stuff. I mean, 9,100, almost 9,200 RPMs up there from Heath Snyder right at the tail end of this field. I mean, it's insane speeds these drivers are hitting. I mean, we're talking, again, 250 miles an hour plus at the tail end, 252 throughout the entire running order. It goes to show just how nuts this racetrack is, that you can hit these types of, massive speeds and be able to keep your car under such control. We've seen some insane saves as well at 220 miles an hour. It just shows the caliber of drivers that we have here running with us at the moment. A lot of the side-by-side battle, by the way, is at the tail end of this first train. I mean, we're looking on board with Heath Snyder. He's even side-by-side at the moment with Al Keselowski down on the bottom side. He's got a good view of Dan Shimuna Wachinski's front line battle just up in front with Brooks Durden up there as well. Look at the outside group. They're all pushing each other. They all got a massive run, but they just cannot go anywhere with it. That's the big problem at the moment. The corners are just so tight, and you can carry so much speed because they're banked at 36 degrees. But it goes to show just how tight this track can really be. These corners, they're the difference between the outside and the inside lane. If this is a track like Daytona and it had that type of turning radius, you would absolutely be able to make that outside lane work. You cannot do that, though, at a track like this. You just don't have any momentum behind you. And I have a feeling, Al, you tried to open up the outside line a couple of times in the first stage, and, well, you saw how just about well that went about every single time.
Yeah, it closes up really fast. So that outside line, unless you have 5 or more cars, you're just going to go back. I mean, it's not, you don't have any help. You got to have all the help. We got, a dozen cars up here at the bottom line that's just pulling everybody, and you want to try to do 4 cars and pull you? It's not going to work.
You're absolutely right. It's not how that works, unfortunately. Of course, with the new iRacing Super Speedway packages that have been brought in recently for these NASCAR Cup cars, it does mean it's a lot harder to make runs by themselves. I remember last year, and I'm speaking from experience here, I saw a guy, Talladega Super Speedway. He made a run, went from 12th place up to first, from the start of the backstretch all the way around to the front stretch with absolutely zero help. Split into the lanes like no tomorrow. It was just nuts what we were seeing. It's not the case anymore. You need to have help. And it's almost a big shame because we can't get any of those really crazy runs unless you're up at the top of the field. Who knows? I think we still have to see what could take place towards the end of this race. I think we still have some very good battles in us yet.
Oh, yeah. Those guys are really trying to use the side draft, and they're trying to pinch somebody. That's going to cause... So you watch that high line come really down on the cars that are in the low line. They're trying to draft off of them. And what they're going to do is they're going to get them squirrely on the inside line and end up wrecking. So it's not going to be a good thing here.
.57 of the 80 laps complete here from the iRacing Super Speedway. Just Belmonte get a little bit unsettled in the middle of his grouping there. You got Keenan Masterbrooks starting, Roy Hyde also looking squirrely right around now. Wachinski and Levine once again attempt to open up the outside groove, but just like we've seen before, it's not going to happen. It's just not there. And it still baffles me to be completely frank why these guys continue to try. It's the definition of insanity, trying the same thing over and over and over again and think you're going to get different results. This is insane what's going on here. I mean, you got Keenan Massey at the moment, who is now starting to really hold up the back end of this train. I mean, Massey holding the inside line, and he's kind of holding up the back of the field, checks everybody up right in behind, makes them go double file, which only slows him down more. Up front, Brooks Dirty and 13 of Roy Hyder side by side. Levine is done playing games. He hangs the 47 out to dry. Gets the line with Heath Snyder, Kozlowski, and Wachinski to try to make a run here towards the front of this field. Brooks Dirty joins the party up in front, passing up Wayne Grossi once again. Grossi now going 8 laps down. By the way, all of those laps down on course. Sad to say. They pass about once every 5 to 10 laps now, which is definitely not what you want to see. Durden tries to go low. Levine, does he let him in? Does not. And in fact, Levine tries to go around the outside line with Heath Snyder. Going to be going around trying to follow. Snyder and Dirty looking to go at it, and I'll tell you what, Zendler Collins is not having a fun time, and I believe Collins is further in the tail end of his own field. In fact, he is, and Collins' words, why are you all checking up 10 miles an hour? Get nose to tail, and we'll get somewhere. I mean, he doesn't want to waste any time. He wants to try to get back into the running order of these things, so goes to show that you still got a little bit of action going on no matter where you look on the track, but it certainly is all up in the top end of the field. I mean, Schneider still having a rough time trying to work it out without Kozlowski. The 50th shot slides up. Kozlowski nearly wipes both of them out and tries to shoot the middle.
Yeah, they drifted. I almost took him out. I had to lift dramatically, though. That was almost really bad here. Yeah, he better get in line.
Kozlowski and Wachinski now the only drivers left on the outside line. 20 laps to go. Pitting in, says Brooks Dirty. 18 laps. Oh, caution, flag flies. Crash on the front straightaway. Kozlowski gets collected in it. Also involved is going to be Brooks Dirty. Josh Schaffner also in it as well. Kozlowski flips over against the pit wall. Slammed door into the sand barrels there. And just rolled his car over onto his roof. So that is going to be effectively day done for the 0-0, unfortunately. One driver that shot down Michael Grant. Got to look on board with him if we can. And now we got to admit, all drivers going to be coming down pit road, and that's going to be it. It's going to be a clean shot from here to the end of this race. So you're taking a look at these replays now on the computer, and well, you had just seen, I mean, just a little clip. That's all it takes, just one little clip to start these big, chain reaction incidents off. I'm still trying to see who it was that actually first got tipped around. It was further up in the front of this thing. I'm taking a look at Dirty and Shovner. Oh, I see it. Brooks Dirty got shoved out of line, tried to come back, but Belmonte was there. Belmonte tapped him right on the left rear quarter panel, and that's an ember into the wall. Shovner had nowhere to go. Kozlowski had nowhere to go. Daniel Moon also took a very wild save himself, just barely scraped around Josh Schaffner. Couple of drivers getting out of there by just the skin of their teeth. So the battle now comes down to pit road. And Daniel Moon, a bit of a sarcastic celebration, saying, yay, the pace car is up there. So there will be no frontline struggles today trying to get in a pit road. Brian Johnson leads the field down. One driver stays out, interesting enough. Heath Snyder is a lap down. That explains that. He'll come in on the next lap, most likely. So all of the lead lap cars are in, and this is a big point because with all these drivers coming down pit road, they're now going to be free to make it to the end of this race. Fuel window, 24 laps, thereabouts. There were 17 laps into this stage when the caution came out, and it's 18 remaining right now. So that effectively secures it that we will be seeing no more pit stops from here to the end of the race. So up in front, it'll be Kenny Powell to lead the way off. Chris Johnson picks up several spots, and he will go up into the lead of this race. Chris Johnson said it would be short. He wasn't lying. Just 8.8 seconds. Fuel only stop for the number 48 machine. Same story for Kenny Powell to put himself up in front. Justin Levine took 2 tires, interestingly enough. Levine sitting in 3rd place at the moment. 2 right sides for Levine and just about 4 tires and fuel for everybody else in the field. Olsen also took 2 tires. So did Kyle Labrie. Zendel Collins also took 2 tires. So it's a very split strategy all throughout the running order. What do you make of that one there, Al?
Well, I'm still trying to catch my breath. That was a wild ride. Surprisingly, I only got like optional damage, so I'm gonna put some tires on this thing and come back out and see what this thing does. I mean, I don't know what I can do, but I'm in rough shape. Rough shape, Noah.
Well, you did have that rollover against the pit wall, so hopefully you'll be able to get that car back out there. It's a shame that you just had nowhere to go, though, Al. Don't beat yourself up about it. It'll come back to you another time. Under caution for, I believe, the 4th time tonight now. We will be coming back to green. We'll be coming back with about 1 to green. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Welcome back to the iRacing Super Speedway for the Southern Spiral Pipe 240. Don't forget, use the code ISCA20 for 20% off on all ButtKicker products at thebuttkicker.com. Kenny Powell on the pole for the restart, and we will be green flag racing. Chris Johnson gets a good launch around the outside line. Al Kozlowski will be joining me here shortly in the broadcast booth. Has decided to retire the car after taking a roll against the pit wall in that latest incident. So, green flag drops, under 20 laps to go, 16 to go at the line to be exact. Single file out very quickly. Brian Johnson, the only strider at the top side. Bad news for our outside fourth place runner. Oh my goodness, and Kyle Labrie does not care at all about the yellow line. He goes right below it and screams past Brian Johnson. Nobit's tried to go for it as well around the outside line. Decided to kind of back off when he realized he wasn't going to have any kind of momentum behind him.
All right, Nolan, yeah, the only way this thing is going to go green all the way is if these guys calm it down a little bit here. We've got a lot of laps left. We got 16 laps left here. Looks like Kyle Labrie in that 9 car is going to try to shoot the outside here. I don't know if he's been watching this race that I was in, but that outside line, if you don't have a pusher, it's not going to help you. He does have Noah Bitts, but that's not going to help him, I don't think.
Scott McKeegan as well, who squeezes in against Greg Wyszynski. Nearly wipes a couple of more cars out there. The slow process of elimination and heads up in front. Now it's Brian Johnson trying to look around the inside of Kyle Labrie. Remember, I don't think Brian Johnson's terribly happy with Kyle Labrie at the moment because Kyle Labrie did not help him at all.
Yeah, he's going to stick his nose in there and not let him get back down.
I think it serves him right. I mean, Labrie went below the line to get by him. I mean, fair play, but it's a risky move. We're talking about a 10-degree transition. It's very easy to lose the car on just the transition on the straights, let alone the corners.
Yeah, we got a third line going to form up here. Let's see how this works out. They know they've got roughly a little over 10 laps to go, so they've got to make a move here. The 13 car, Roy Hyde there, he's going to be stuck in the middle, and he's going to go to the back. But it does look like Kyle Labrie has got a little head of steam. He's got 3 or 4 cars behind him that might get him enough to get up there. But these guys have got to keep on that momentum. There's a 4-car line, or pulling against probably an 8-car. But no, we have Justin Levine. Justin pulls out, and he's going to grab that high side. So that's going to pretty much, I think that's going to work out for him. Because Kyle Labrie is going to hook onto the back end of Justin Levine, and they're going to the front.
Oh, and Levine abandons Kyle Labrie out there. Just no mercy at all. Justin Levine pulls down in his Abruzzi number 19 Ford Mustang. And Kyle Labrie left to dry on the outside groove. Still has Heath Snyder, his own frontline teammate, to work with. That's got to feel pretty nasty, though, I tell you that, for Levine.
Well, I think what's going on here is Justin Levine is trying to drag the inside line back, because I see a little bit of checking up going on here. So he's trying to cut their momentum on the inside so he can get the 9 and possibly Heath Snyder, the 8, up there with him. But hats off to Chris Johnson and Kenny Powell for not allowing him to do that. We got Brian Johnson, it looks like, in the mix of that. No, that's John Mullins. They're not going to allow this to go on. But if you get the Johnson brothers and Kenny Powell together with Greg Wyszynski, it's going to be a hard-to-beat-them battle here. We could have a battle between Frontline and G&G here in a minute.
That's the front line getting their act together and start getting themselves up to the front. At the moment, it's just a 2-car train on the outside line, and we've seen that before, Al. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. And in fact, there you go. One of the front line boys just abandoned the other one. Heath Snyder down to the inside, leaves Labrie all by himself to work with the G&G driver, Brian Johnson, the Southern Spiral Pipe, number 4, Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. But even in time, it'll be Brian Johnson abandoning him. Oh, but Ginkin just barely squeezes through on the bottom.
Yeah, what you're doing, what you're seeing right there is G&G knows they have to split up these frontline drivers if they stand a chance. So they have to split them up. So Brian Johnson may have just made a move to kind of take away something from Kyle Labrie here to keep him from getting up there with the other front line here. But here comes a 23. Oh, they're wrecking pretty bad there. That was a heck of a wreck.
Oh, indeed it is. That's 5 cars at least getting collected in this one. Looks like it's another case out of pusher being pushed. Looks as though Connor Mulligan got pushed up by Greg Wyszynski. It was a very bad bump from Wyszynski that just didn't work. And then there goes Matthew McKeegan, who got collected as well. And 4 drivers got collected. I saw Connor Mulligan got hit hard as well. Cecil Keith got collected big time. I saw Paul Olsen got damaged. Barlow got damaged. Belmonte had damage. While we're on this replay here, Rob, if possible, let's take a look back just earlier on this lap. Look back at the 47 car Keenan Massey. I was looking back a little bit further. He also had to save his life to the major contact with Justin Belmonte. What I want you to do is I want you to go in car with the 47 if we can and watch the wheel work on the 47. It was a whole other level of impressive drive. We're talking 90 degrees to the left, 90 degrees to the right, seesawing it back and forth. That's one honestly out for the iRacing top 10, if I had to say so.
Oh, I do believe he was on that wheel. I mean, doing everything he can to keep it off the wall. If you can keep it mid-track when you're spinning, you're fine. I mean, if you can keep it there. But while I'm watching that replay, yeah, this looks like Rick Wojcinski just caught a little bit of the. Oh, yeah, he caught that 11 car. Looks like Connor Mulligan at the wrong time, and it took out a bunch of drivers. That is terrible.
And you just saw the run for the 47 as well. I mean, doesn't look impressive the outside when you're looking in car. Cat-like reflexes there to save that one. I mean, we've seen some impressive misses tonight, but that just about takes the cake there. Holy cow. I'll tell you what, Al, I'm going to be submitting that one to iRacing for their highlight reel at the end of the month.
I think made it through there, didn't he? He snuck it in right at the bottom.
Might just have managed to do that, yeah.
Well, this is super speedway racing, Nolan. This is what happens when you got speeds like this. Because you suck up so quickly to the car in front of you on these turns. And if your setup is a lot freer in the turns than the guy in front of you, if they're worried about maybe drifting up from the yellow line, then they'll check up a little bit, and you'll have a one heck of a problem if you're following them. And you'll just suck right into them, and you see this is what happens.
So we are under yet another caution, this time under 10 to go. For Mathis correcting out, we're green with 7 laps. I have a feeling we're about to see the gloves really start to come off. What do you think our odds are that we end up with the green white checker? Because honestly, it grows higher every lap we're closer to the white flag.
Well, I can predict that we're going to see that. I mean, there's going to be a problem here. These guys are going to get aggressive, but these guys are also professionals. So we may see some things that you're going to be like, oh, how in the world did they do that? Moves made. I wouldn't count out 4th, 5th, and 6th place not winning this race. I mean, you can win this race from as far back as 8th, 9th if you get the right draft here. So watch and see what this thing unfolds like. This is going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Oh boy, it goes to show just how challenging iRacing Super Speedway can be. I mean, you can compare it to the other track saying it's a draft track like Daytona Talladega. You're absolutely correct. Anybody that's raced there, especially these guys now, will tell you it does not drive like those tracks, though. I mean, it's a whole other beast altogether. The turns are a lot tighter. The banking is a lot taller. The speeds are so much faster. I mean, your car almost gets loose just from how fast you go in a straight line, which honestly makes some of the saves we've seen tonight, Al, even more impressive. Because if it was just about anybody else, I can almost guarantee they would not be able to hang on to it as well as they were.
Now, you've got to muscle this car in the turns. I mean, it takes a lot. It doesn't matter how well you got your wheels set up. It's a lot of muscling around these corners. I mean, it is extremely hard to get around these corners because you're doing 240 miles an hour around these corners. You know, so that's excessive speed. And even though it's banked, it just doesn't help it as much. It's really hard to keep that car down below that or on that yellow line without clipping that yellow line.
Imagine if you didn't have power steering like they did back in like the 80s and the 70s and you had to go around here like that. I don't even want to think about it.
Well, you wouldn't run that bottom line. Okay, you wouldn't run that bottom line, but we run the 87 cars on iRacing, and they do not obviously they don't have the speeds as these cars do, but you can't hug that yellow line. You'll drift up and up and up. So you really got to lift in these cars. If we were to run this 87 cars on this track, we would have to lift in order to make this corner because they're just too heavy.
7 laps to go when we take that green flag. crunch time, the iRacing Super Speedway, to see who can win the Southern Spiral Pipe 240 at the iRacing Super Speedway. Pace car pulls down the pit road. Justin Levine in the hands of the 19 machine as we get set to go racing once more. Green flag drops. We're back underway. Bad one from Kenny Powell. 3 wide already before he even hits our finish line. Heath Snyder with an amazing start around the outside.
Okay, now we've got front line hooking together. So Kenny Powell has got to get in the back end of Chris Johnson here and keep him in second in order for this thing to work. If they can't do that, then they're going to be some trouble. They're already, it's like Brian Johnson is trying to work his way to the outside there, and he wants up front with his brother and Kenny Powell, his teammate. So if he can get that, he's going to have to check up and get back in line. Wait a minute, I'd stay high. Nope, he's going to go down. So we got that bottom line forms. You will not be able to let front line form in front of you.
Unfortunately, that's what Chris Johnson has no choice but to do. Schneider bullies his way to the inside groove. Here comes Justin Levine, who's going to lead the first lap on the restart. 6 laps remaining. It's a GNG 1-2. Sorry, it's a frontline 1-2 with GNG running in third. The potential is still there for an exciting finish. We heard Levine talking during the during his Stage 1 winner interview. He had mentioned that the plan was to try to go along with the stage, get the front line out in front so they can battle amongst themselves. That has not been the case. We're now stuck in what is now effectively a 6-lap sprint to the finish. You wonder now, does Schneider help Levine, or does he try to go for the glory? I mean, you got Chris Johnson right in behind you as well. It's a hard call to make.
Well, the big question is, the only one that can make, Kenny Powell gets extremely loose and has to lift and get back in line, and that causes a big melee behind him.
But the apron.
Wow. Yeah, those guys are. It's nice save, Kenny Powell. Nice save. Now that's going to hurt Chris Johnson dramatically. He has got no teammate up there now. Unless Noah Bitts works with him, which I don't think that's going to happen. Kyle Labrie, he might work with him. I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen. The only hope we can have is that Brian Johnson is going to.
Bitts gets turned! Heads up!
Yeah, it's going to be a wreck.
Oh, it's coming back down into the wall, spinning out, and 3 caution flag finally flies. Oh my word. Al, I want to say hats off to Noah Bitts. That could have been so much worse than it actually was. That was a 1-car spin with a little bit of contact. That could have collected 8+ cars, taking on half the field in that process. Noah Bitts did the absolute best he could have in the worst possible situation.
Well, I think Noah Bitts thinks that was intentional. However, he came back down, and Kenny had a little nose in there, and Kenny tried to check up, but he ended up catching a bumper of him and brought him around. That's that a draft. It pulls your car into the car in front of you, and you almost have to kind of drag the brake in order to stay off of them. But they're racing with about 5 laps to go. There's pretty much going to be no dragging of the brake. And if you don't hold your line, you'll end up losing the position. A lot of them in this case.
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, I'm looking at the replay of the save. I mean, he's out of control. All he does is basically slam the brakes and hope for the best. Gets a little piece of it with Roy high, but it wasn't that bad. I don't think we didn't hit him, maybe. Drummond barely got out of it. The 33 car season Keith also had a really big scare when Bitts started to come down the track. Had to slam the brakes, avoid slamming into the 87. Just insane stuff. I mean, and I'm taking a look back at the initial incident as well, Al. You said no Bitts thought it was intentional. I don't see how it could have. I mean, Powell looked high, Bitts blocked high. That's fair. Powell faked back down to the low side to go for the pass. Right for contact, Bitts chops across the nose of Powell. There's nothing Powell could have done in that situation. That is 100%, I'm afraid to say, on Noah Bitts. I mean, I failed to see how one could look at it any differently than that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just you don't have yet, unless you have a live spotter telling you if you're clear or not. iRacing spotter is kind of like, I hate to say it, it's kind of like using Stevie Wonder as your spotter. I mean, they don't really give you an accurate reading if you're clear or not. You know, if you got a car on high, if you're clear from that car, it doesn't really give you an accurate, presentation that you are clear. So I would almost say that maybe he thought by his spotter from iRacing that he was clear. And when he went down there, he wasn't obviously clear.
And I have to be honest, I don't think a human spotter, Al, could have done much better. I mean, the margin is so fine and it happens so fast. I doubt even a human spotter at the racetrack would have been able to successfully tell him not just in time, but also in time enough that Bits could make the corrective action to not make contact.
Well,
it's a racing incident. It's just hard racing in the final stages of the race. That's all that was.
And that's all you can chalk it up to be. I mean, Noah was battling to save his 5th place position. I mean, he didn't really have to battle that much right now, but he chose to do so, and this is the end result. I mean, when you're blocking like that, there's only so much guy's going to take on the blocks. As you're going to see this, it's probably going to be a green-white checkered here, and there's going to be some blocking, but we have 3 G&G drivers up here. I think, is there 3 frontline drivers up here as well?
Yes, sir. On the subject, though, about, the guys going hard towards the end of the race, I mean, like you said perfectly, I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation. It had to happen, but, it's the way it is. It's racing hard at the very end of a race, trying to go get the positioning that you want. I mean, you can't really look at it any other way. That's all it was. You cannot blame the other guy for wanting to go for the position. You can't blame yourself for wanting to block the position. The reason why Bits was blocking so hard, Al, was because he didn't want to be hung out to dry and fall to the back. He knew those 2 cars with the run behind him, they were his only chance to close up to the front field, and he had to keep them behind them so they could push him at all costs. That's all he was trying to do.
Absolutely, Nolan, absolutely. Hey, I want to point something out, Nolan. I don't know if we can look back on the history record, but do you think a broadcaster has ever taken a pole in a race and broadcasted at the same time?
Not that I can remember.
I don't think it's ever been done in real life or in iRacing. I mean, so I probably just set a record, didn't I?
You set a record or something. I mean, I'll tell you that much. I mean, unfortunately, you flipped your car to end your race, so it could have ended better. But, a good start.
At least I got the pole. That's what matters. All right, this restart is going to be dramatic, so just watch for it. This is going to be the most exciting part of the race right now. So sit back, buckle up, because we're going to be on a wild ride right now in about 15 seconds. These guys are going to be racing like they never raced the whole race.
Green or white checker, 2-lap sprint. Only 1 attempt. If they make it to the white flag, they race down to green. If they crash before then, race ends under caution. Going to be in the hands.
A great start, a great restart, because if you don't want any of those guys on the high line to suck into you, the bottom line has to stay nose to tail. So they really have to get a good lift. What you probably see is our race leader is going to go to the high side and drag. Oh, it was a rough start for Chris Johnson. He's got Kenny Powell still there, and he's got Brian Johnson with him on the outside. I don't know if there's any way for Brian to get behind Chris, but it looks like they're going to have a new race leader, and they're going to leave him out to dry. If Brian Johnson gets in line here, he's going to leave Kyle Labrie out to hang there.
No choice.
G&G, nose to tail, so we're going to see something at the end of this. There's going to be I imagine Chris is going to go out. There we go. And they're going.
Making it.
They're going to tuck back in. They don't have enough momentum to get around him. But Kyle Labrie is coming up strong. He's like, you guys don't want to go? I will go here.
White flag flies. They have made it back. The race ends in just 3 miles time. Up in front, it is Heath Snyder trying to see if he can hold on to the race lead. Justin Levine just in behind, trying to get his frontline teammate a victory. Chris Johnson sits in third. The 48 car still within a shout to win. Then button behind. They crash behind. Santa Collins takes out the field. They crash big time up in turn number 2. Onto the ball. Drumhiller, Collins, Barlow, and more. Still racing hard though. Just 5 cars remaining in the lead Group B on the final lap of the race. Justin Levine trying to hold off the G&G force behind. They are now outnumbered 2-3. Levine looks from the outside. Chris Johnson also looks for it. Here comes Snyder off the bottom corner. There will be a look for Levine. Levine's trying to go for the win. Drag racing to the line. Gonna bang to the door. He gets him. Justin Levine takes the victory from iRacing Super Speedway by the skin of his teeth. 0.9 of a second. Closest finish we have ever seen now in a very long time.
Yeah, that was an amazing move, and if it wasn't for Chris Johnson being behind him, that move would have never worked. It would have never worked. He wouldn't have caught the momentum. But amazing job there, Justin Levine pulled off there and pulled the bamboozle on him. You know, he thought he had that race win, and about 50 yards from the start finish, he got taken away.
Pulled that move perfectly. Talk about perfect timing for Justin Levine. If he had made that even about 10 feet sooner, probably would not have got that win. Chris Johnson tried, couldn't get there. Heath Snyder not able to hold him off. Got to get a look at that finish if we can, because, oh boy, it was close. By the time Levine's bumper was crossing the end of the yellow and white checkered bricks, Snyder's was just crossing the line itself. It was so close to call. I am speechless here, Al. Take a look at the replay.
Oh, it's amazing. It's great, buddy. It's great. I wish I was in that race to watch that to the finish. That's amazing. That's a great job. Great job to Justin Levine finishing this race in our victory circle. We got Heath Snyder in second, Chris Johnson third, Kenny.
Oh boy. I tell you what, I mean, it's a maddening finish, isn't it? I think we're going to take another look here. This is on board with Levine from his helmet camera. We'll take a look at the run. I mean, there you go, crossed the yellow line, and he knew it. That's where it is. Makes that move out, and just flawless execution from Justin Levine. And he raced him clean. They never made contact the entire way down the front stretch. A lot of side drafting, but no contact whatsoever. Race is over. We'll go down to the post-race results.
All righty, we got Justin Levine won this race. He's in victory circle here. Heath Snyder in second place, Chris Johnson in third, Kenny Powell fourth, Brian Johnson fifth, Keenan Massey sixth, John Mullins seventh, Roy Hyde eighth, Paul Olson ninth, and rounding out the top 10 will be Cecil Keith.
11th position is going to hold Clayton Hoffman with Robert Batgill in 12th. Noah Bitts 13th with Matthew McKeegan in 14th. Dan Schmoon 15th. Randy Drumhiller in 16th. Zenla Collins 17th. Will Barlow, Kyle Labrie rounded out the cars on the lead lap with Connor Mulligan 3 down in the 20th position.
Greg Wachinski rounding out, 21st? And then we got Michael Grant 22nd. Wayne Grossi 23rd. Justin Belmonte 24th. Josh Opner 25th. I finished 26th. Brooks Dirting finished 27th. Seth Hollander, 28th. Craig Johnson, 29th. Chad Sullivan, 30th. Chuck Sweeting, 31st. Travis Smith, 32nd. Braxton DeWeese, 33rd. Gil Gawk, 34th. And rounding out this 35-car field will be Eduardo Oliveira, finishing 35th.
An absolutely insane run to end out this race, and we've already got the top 3 that are standing by and no doubt wanting to have a little bit of a chat with us. So I'll let you kick things off here, Al, with our stage 1 winner as well as our race winner, Justin Levine.
Well, I want to jump. Let's do this a little backwards tonight, if we will. We'll give Justin Levine the spotlight, but I want to talk to Chris Johnson in the 3rd place first tonight. Nolan. Chris Johnson, Al Kozlowski in the booth. You got a copy?
Roger.
What a wild finish, Chris. You had teammates with you there, and I thought if they stuck to you, but it looks like they just lost the draft a little bit. Maybe Kenny Powell had a little damage there. He couldn't get to your bumper, but you made the best of it coming in 3rd. Walk us through this end of this race, will you?
Yeah, I think Kenny and Brian got damage on that last caution, and the frontline crew just a little bit too organized, and they just walked off with it.
Well, I don't see they walked off with it. I mean, they're still battling. Justin and Heath kind of battled at the end there. If they would have wrecked, you'd probably had yourself a win here. But 3rd place is nothing to sneeze at. A great race tonight. Congratulations, keeping yourself clean. And you got any sponsors you want to go ahead and thank? Anybody, Grandma and Grandpa?
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe. It's always good to bring the Southern Spiral car, especially at the Southern Spiral 240. I'll take a 3rd. So I'd like to thank Kenny, ISCA, Rob, Nolan, yourself, all the hard work you do to put on this event for us, make it enjoyable.
Well, it's our pleasure, especially when we're able to watch. I was able to watch the last 20 laps, unfortunately, instead of being in it. But I glad I did, because this finish was memorable. So congratulations on your third place finish, and great job tonight, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
Now let's move on up here to Mr. Heath Snyder, our almost winner here. Heath Snyder, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Heath, that move Justin Levine put on you at the end, was he expecting it?
A little bit, not gonna lie.
I thought you were. This kind of reminds me, we were in a race together last night, and I kind of messed up, and the same thing happened to you there. You were going to win and end up at second. So second is not a very good number for you right now, but you're one hell of a driver, brother, and you put on a great show for us tonight, and congratulations on your second place finish.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Well, this is about the time we ask you, walk us through this last few feet, 50 feet of the race. I mean, did you think you had them? I seen some side drafting going on. I mean, what was going through your mind? You didn't know, or walk us through that?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really even expect to be there, because with that restart with like 17 to go, I think I was 19th, and I was able to make my way up front. But just timed that restart pretty well, and had Kyle behind me and was able to get a run past Justin. And at that point, it was, I hope he stays on me, but I kind of figured he was going to pull out there.
Yeah, when you get to the last 2 or 3 laps, teammates, you kind of throw that out the window. So, but you expected it, and you don't sound disappointed. But second place at this super speedway is really, I mean, it could have been worse.
Oh, it absolutely could have been. I'm pretty proud of the finish for my first ISCA race, so I'll take it.
Great job, buddy. Well, this is a time that you go ahead and you reach deep in your vocals there, and you give thanks out to everybody that got you here, even mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, nieces and nephews, any puppies, cats, gerbils, anything. You give them thanks right now.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy to be where I'm at on iRacing. Give a shout out to Dan for noticing me about 6 months or so ago and inviting me to join what was DSB at the time, and then getting to come over here to Frontline was a pretty cool opportunity. So thanks to Frontline, thanks to Abruzzi for sponsoring these cars. Definitely a cool sponsor to have on them.
Well, that's a great job, buddy. Do you have yourself a ButtKicker system?
I do not.
That's what you need to do. And you know how you get one of those with 20% off is use that ISCA 20% off coupon. So put that in your pocket there and get online and order you one of those. It'll change your driving a whole lot more.
I'll consider it. Thanks, Al.
Congratulations on your second place, Heath. Now, Nolan, I've spoken to Justin before, and Justin, the Machine Levine, him and I go way back, but I think you need to go ahead and close us out with an interview with Justin the Machine Levine.
9 thousandths of a second, Justin. That's all I have for you. I mean, you make that move. We're talking even like 10, 20 feet further back, and you don't make it. So expertly timed and perfectly executed as well for you. Was that always the decision to try to maybe go for that move and try to see if you could snag that win for yourself?
Once I saw that it was a 3-car battle, I definitely wanted to make sure that at least one of the frontline cars were going to win. So once we got past pit road entry, I knew that it was just going to be between Heath and I. And maybe if Chris went to the third line, it would have been a 3-wide finish. But I don't know if Chris went to the third, if he had enough momentum to pull both of us back there. But they worked out perfectly.
We talk about the iRacing Speedway as a whole. It's a very unique track, and this was a very unique race. I mean, it's unlike any race we've ever seen before. The caution count was a little bit higher than we're used to seeing even on plate tracks, but that doesn't mean it still wasn't a good race. It was certainly an entertainment for us in the booth, especially on that green-white checkered, thanks to yourself. What's your overall thoughts, though, on how the race went for you?
I love this place. Any super speedway, I just love being able to use the runs and take the run and having teammates and whatnot. Like it changes the whole style of racing. It comes like a chess game at 200 miles an hour. Then just like, is it the setup and the driver? The race overall, I had a lot of fun. I really don't like how this package is, but that's as close to the real thing as possible. But if we were just able to run at least like side by side for longer and not pull each other back and watch like a 5-car breakaway, this race would be so much more. But I won stage 1, went to the back, and man, did I take a beating. Nobody wanted to work with me. Al's slicing and dicing. He did not want me anywhere near him. Every time I went up, he went low. But
Trying to avoid you, Justin. I knew what the game plan. I'll be honest with you. It was going to be a G&G versus frontline ending, and that's exactly what I knew it was going to be. And I did not want you up there because I knew you were the one that was going to steal it. So I tried my best, and unfortunately, I'm sitting back here in the pits because I flipped over.
Oh, but I had so much fun with you. You got to race more.
Well, congratulations, Justin. Let's give some shout-outs to some sponsors here, bud. Sponsors, relatives, it's your channel. You go ahead and give it all you got.
First off, Kenny Powell with creating the league and all the admins that help him run it. You guys can't wait to go back and watch the broadcast. Everyone at Frontline, we've been running this car all week, and this car is so fast and a Bruzy.
That's it. You don't have anybody else that sits back and lets you race and doesn't give you all kinds of hell. A spouse, a girlfriend, a significant other, fish, gerbil, guinea pig, anybody?
My girlfriend Brielle's already in bed. She fell asleep watching the race, so she'll find out in the morning.
Well, I thank you very much for allowing you to race with us tonight and get this win and make it a very entertaining race for our viewers. And next week, Nolan, where are we running at next week?
That would be Watkins Glen International. We head back to upstate New York to do some good old-fashioned road course racing at arguably one of the best road coursing facilities in all of North America. So, from the ISCA Speedway, that is going to conclude tonight's broadcast with Nolan Rempel and Al Kozlowski in the booth, and of course Rob Melnick once again behind the cameras. Thank you everybody for taking the time to come on out and give us your attention for tonight for what has been an absolutely insane race. We will see you all in 1 week's time in upstate New York.